tilted towards you. You're doing something different.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real Stories of Hurting Moms. My name is Cathy Taylor, and I have my friend Judy here tonight.
Hello, everyone.
Judy's been with me before. It's kind of fun when it's somebody who's local or here in my community. We can be right here together, and we don't have to go do the whole internet thing. But I'm going to turn it over her in a few minutes. I'm going to talk for a minute till we get some people on here. But I wanted to, a couple things. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're, from where in the U.S. or Canada. I just want to say a shout out to Alice. If you're watching tonight, Alice emailed me this week. She's in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
And she's trying to figure out how she might be able to get on on an online group and maybe even take it to her community. And then Tanya is in Australia, and Tanya went through an online group, and it was 5 o'clock here, and it was 11 o'clock the next morning, her time.
Oh, wow.
So, but she went through that, and now she's going to lead a group. She already got her books and everything over in Australia. So, and of course, we have lots of groups in Canada already, and I mean, around the country, there's more and more groups popping up. So,
that's so cool.
It is exciting. It's very exciting. It's not exciting. That sounds bad because it's not exciting that there's so many hurting moms.
No,
but it is exciting
getting
the help, right?
And hope, and
yeah. Because we do the online group still too, but a lot of moms really like the local group. They want to be up close and personal. But there's more and more groups popping up all over the place. So take a look if you're interested in a group at our website, and you go to click on groups, and you can see if there's a local group near you. So I see some people already saying hi, Cathy, Marilyn, Abuelita Chadwick from Hemlock, Michigan. Another exciting thing that I want to tell everybody about. We just started there's a Spanish speaking group is just starting in Kissimmee, Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, my friend, Cosanas in
that's
Arizona.
where I saw it. I was like, I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She had an online group in Spanish, and then those moms that went through that group are now taking it to their churches.
Oh,
so it's there's nice. Melissa in Oklahoma. Hi, Melissa. And so it's very exciting. I guess because the word's getting out there, and we know that a lot of moms are finding hope, and we're going to talk about that tonight, about hope. If this is your first time watching, let us know that as well. I'd love to know if you've been on here before, or maybe you just stumbled across it tonight. And then another thing I want to tell you about before we go any further, because I realized this last week. So we have daily encouraging words. We have devotionals that you can sign up for. They're free. They come into your email every day. And they're on our website, but people are having trouble finding where to sign up, because when you go to the front page of our website, you have to scroll down a ways. It's not up towards the top of the page. And so people were missing it. I had several people ask, and I kind of explained that last week, and a bunch of people signed up. So I just wanted those of you, hey, Teresa, I met Teresa this morning online.
Oh, cool.
So the devotionals, if you go to the website, scroll down, and you'll see where you can sign up for free. You just have to put your name and your email address, and they'll start coming in a day or two. And it's like when you wake up in the morning, it'll be there. And it's a great way for you to be able to, just have a reminder in the morning about who's in charge, who's in control, God.
Yeah.
So anyway, Judy and I have been friends for a long time, and we were talking this week. I said, Judy, what do you want to talk about? I always ask whoever might get it, I say, what's the topic? What do you want to talk? And she said she wanted to talk about losing hope. And man, that really resonated with me too. I was thinking about my own son, who's an alcoholic, and I don't even know if I ever think about him getting sober anymore. It's just kind of like, I've gotten to the point, I pray for him, and I would give anything if he would want to get sober. But I kind of almost don't hope that I do hope he will, but I've lost hope. I don't have a lot of hope that he will, because he seems to be so content in his lifestyle. And I thought, I don't want to get like that. I don't want to be like that where I don't hope. But you have some things that you want to share tonight that you've been thinking about with, and even in your own situation. So take it away, Judy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting whenever Cathy asked me to come on, I'm like in the very deep pits of my hopelessness. And I'm like, okay, God, what do you want me to say? Because I don't feel it right now. And I think that is perfect because that's where God meets me. And it's where I need to be pulled out of. And I think back. So my story is, I've probably been going through a lot with my daughter for, I think, 6-7 years. And about 3 years into it, that's when I found Cathy and I said, my daughter needs help. My daughter needs help. And she's like, no, you need help.
You need help.
I'm like, no. And I literally said no. And I went somewhere else. I said, Cathy doesn't know what she's talking about. So I need to go find something else.
Really? I didn't know that.
But that was because I was desperate to fix
your daughter.
My daughter,
yeah.
Which was not where I was. But
yeah.
I did eventually come back and said, okay, yes, you're right. And then I joined my first group. And it was very difficult. It was a really difficult group. It was a really difficult time. It was difficult to let go. It was difficult, period. And I get through that, and I have taught a couple, or not taught, but led a few of the groups. And it's very encouraging. It's very nice to have this toolkit, if you will, of reminders of what to go back, especially those encouraging emails. If you can get those daily, that's awesome, because it's just that constant reminder that, hey, get up, get out, go and be with God, and I think with me lately, it's been, that hopelessness is more about, my daughter's relapsing and there's no hope for her, or she's hooked on a drug that's nobody has ever gotten out of. And I'm like, so I focus on that, and I focus on, and I think one of the things I was talking to my pastor, we just talked about hope the other day or a few weeks ago. And one of the things was like, it's wishful thinking, and for me, it's hoping that she'll get out of that. She'll get out. I'm hoping that I'm just hoping. And I'm like, okay, that hope is gone because it's not going to happen. That my wishful thinking is dead. Or I'm expecting her to get well, or I'm expecting her to turn over, or I'm expecting her to change. And that's not real good hope either. And then, just that confidence, certainty that I don't have any confidence or certainty about
she's going to change.
Not that she's going to change. Yes. And so my focus was again in the wrong spot. And so the more I put my focus back in the right spot of focusing on what can I do? How can I respond? What is my reaction? And so one of the things that I was thinking about is, I like CR mixed with Hurting Moms because it talks about the serenity prayer. And I just keep going back to that is what's in my control. I can't control her. I can't control anybody. I can't fix anybody. But what can I do for me? And what can I do is I can let go. I can have a different response. I could love my daughter and not love what she's doing.
Yeah.
I could love on her to death. I have 2 kids, and I was telling them, I said, a love a mother has for their child is just beyond understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can look at that from God's perspective, that his love for us is way beyond understanding. We understand it as mothers, but a little bit more maybe than a father, but we don't understand as much as because God loves us so, so much.
Yeah.
And that is where the hope is that's the hope that I have for me and for myself. And that God is bigger God than anybody. He's so much better than anything we could even imagine and think of. He's probably got some little plan in place that we couldn't even imagine that he's going to do to fix them, not fix them, but help them,
And it may have more to do with us. I mean, right? His plan, even out of my pain, this whole ministry grew.
Right, exactly.
And this is not my doing. I did this for myself. I had never in a million years thought there were this many hurting moms.
No.
And so it's like he's using that, no matter what my kids are doing, no matter what my daughter's doing. And it was one of my daughters that inspired me to write this. But no matter what my kid's doing or my son, it's really about Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole
And I'm
different-
reading a couple of the comments. It's definitely huge to be in a support group. To be able to, like, I was down and out the other day, and I was with her, and I had a conversation. I was just so hurt, and I'm like, this is just, I lost hope. I totally had lost hope. But my hope was in her, not in where I should be focusing it. And the first thing I did was reach out to a friend who was a hurting mom and who could understand it and be able to talk about it. And I think that was huge to have that support group. And whether you're in addiction and you need a support group, or you're in addiction for codependency and you need a support group, that really helps. And it also helps you refocus and try to get that mindset that my hope is not in my child. My hope isn't even in myself. My hope is in God, who loves me. And that anchor is what's going to keep me going. That's the only thing that keeps me going. Is, some people have asked that know my story, how are you even standing? How do you get out of bed? And I'm like, I stand on the promises of God. And that is the one thing that keeps me going. And those promises are, he's never going to leave me. He's never going to forsake me. He loves me. He is always with me. And these are the huge things that keep me going forward. And the more I focus on him, I can see, like you said, I had people walk up to me, and now when anybody says, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good. And then, of course, how are your kids? Well, one's good and one's not. And I could just say that. And before, it would be like, oh, everybody's fine, and not say a thing. But then when I do open up and I say, my daughter's struggling, and tell her how and why she's struggling, and she's, on heroin or whatever the issue is, then they start opening up.
Yeah. And
it's like, wow. And then a whole new connection that if I didn't trust God in taking care of me and my feelings and and loving me, I could not do that and could not open up. And I think the verse that you guys have for hurting moms, like the very first verse where you talk about
2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4.
Yes, I love it. I can't ever remember them.
It has to do with God.
What He comforts us, we give others, and I just love that verse, and I love that. Yeah. And I think recently I've gotten back into realizing that God is and can use me in my crap, and I don't have to get better. Right. I could still be sad. I could still be hurt, and I am, and I could still also communicate with others and be able to tell the lovely story of Christ and how He saved us and how He's there for us, and that those promises are so profound, and we could stand strong on those. And if it wasn't for that, it would be very, very difficult.
The thing, the reality is, I saw somebody was commenting on here. I don't know how to make it go back up. About, she's talking about faith without prayer without works. And I understand that. But the deal is, when you're dealing with an adult child who's making their own decisions, you can't just put them in a hospital. No hospital wants them unless they want to go. It is totally up to them, especially if they're addicted to something. I mean, addicts are a whole entity unto themselves. And when they're addicted to something, they are the only ones who can help you. You can waste your whole life trying to fix them, and you know that, and I know that, and so you have a choice in that, because it isn't going to work to fix it, but God has other things for us to do. He has a plan for everybody. So we make a choice of focusing on this one child and running ourselves ragged, trying to fix the control, which really can't be fixed or controlled.
Right.
Or we can start, spend time with people who want attention.
Right, exactly. And that's
it's
true. Your other kids, definitely pointing and paying attention to them and being there for them, which is really one thing that I didn't do. I wasn't there for my other child because I was caught up in that mess. I was caught up in trying to fix her. I was caught up in dealing with my own emotions about my guilt, my shame. I just wanted to crawl up in bed and not talk to anybody. Yeah, I definitely have had for that issue as well. Now I have to deal with that guilt,
we become sick ourselves.
Exactly.
It's a sickness.
Yeah. But I think too, being able to open up and talk and Again, back to what can I do? What is my part in this? I can serve. I could love another child. Yeah. I could help another child. And, there's children who want to be loved, that want help, that, we could refocus. And I know for a fact that this is hard because we love our children. Sure. We love them to death.
It doesn't mean we don't love, doesn't mean we stop loving them. It doesn't
exactly.
It means that you know what, the word that I use over and over again is we surrender them. We surrender them to the God who loves them more than we do. Yeah. We just say, God, we know that we can't fix them. Mm-hmm. So we love them, and we're here if they want help to do all that. And I have a relationship with my kids, but I can't lay awake at night worrying about them, or I can't stalk them on Facebook to see what they're doing. It doesn't do any good. And my kids, they're all adults. They're all grown up now. So we can't do anything about that. But, we don't have to lose hope. I think that's if our hope is completely in our child turning around, that's where our mistake is.
Exactly. And that's why I felt so hopeless, is because I was focused on her getting better. Yeah. And there was a point in time when, and most of the time I just have to deal with today. I have to be grateful that God gave us today, and that my child is here today, and that I got a phone call today, and look at the positives, and appreciate. So like if she, and I've told her this too, like she's like, Mom, unfortunately I relapsed. I'm like, well, how many hours have you been sober? Let's just start there. And then just keep trying again. Just keep trying. And just loving them, I think, is the hardest part. I think it's even harder when they aren't talking. I know there were some others that had mentioned something about the fact that their kids aren't even talking to them. And that has got to be even really hard. I think, that's just got to be difficult. But again, I know our God is amazing, and I know that he can help us through all of that. I know that he could bring people in our lives to love on us, and people that we need to love on as well. The one biggest command that he gave us is to love one another. Yeah. And I think that getting out, our response, again, we can get out, we could serve, we can do for others, we can get involved in a community group, we can get involved with hurting moms, we can get involved, and isolating ourselves is not, helpful either. No. And we want to just lay in bed and do nothing and watch TV or binge or whatever.
Depression. And we allow it to.
It is. And it could just take us over.
Circumstantial depression that really is so debilitating. Yeah. I think too, like the whole, hope piece. It's not that we just never think about it or shut it aside, but we don't. I guess it's a different. We don't allow it to control us. Exactly. It doesn't control us. We still have a life. We still have other relationships that need our attention, or that there's so much good in the world, and we miss out on so much when we are focused on the one who is not choosing to turn around or to do what we think they should do. And so it's learning, I guess, again, the word surrender or letting go. And I talked to Mom today who said, I need to learn to let go. Yeah. And that's what we do in a Hurting Moms group. I mean, in these groups, a 10-week group, we learn how we get tools for that. Because it's one thing to say, oh, you just need to let go. Right. We just got to surrender them. That's easier said than done. We've spent our whole life loving them and being in charge of their lives. Exactly. And so,
it's hard just to normally adult out of our lives, let alone let go of our hurting child.
Yeah. So it's just a, I don't know. It's just a constant thing that we have to constantly be working on.
Yeah. Our response, I think, is where I go back to is, what is my part in this? How can I help? I could text her on a daily basis. I could make her know that she's still loved. Honestly, part of me feels like she's alive because she knows that her family loves her. Yeah. And she will, whether she agrees to it at this point or not, but God has been loving on her. The child is alive, and it's a miracle that she's alive. And she had a cardiac arrest, and she, is alive. I truly believe that protection that we pray for works. God is protecting our children, and we can stand in that gap and pray for them and that God is truly hearing those prayers.
Yeah.
He is watching over them. One person told me once, and they said, well, God's still keeping her alive until she comes to realization that he's real.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm like,
and
okay.
Yeah, but there's a lot of truth in that. I went through that in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
I spent many years turning my back on God, even though I knew about him. I grew up, my dad's a pastor. I grew up in the church, and I spent a lot of, but I had, my parents couldn't turn me around.
Right.
I had to get to the place where I knew that my life was empty, and, and I had to make that choice for myself. And, God is faithful. Yeah. He's so faithful.
I like what you said. Definitely the tools help us to help ourselves. Yes. Because we as hurting people are not nice. Hurting people hurt people. So the more we can work on our hurt with God and feel the love from God, the better we are at loving other people, including our kids.
Absolutely. And everybody, at least it says love that we can pray for protection over our kids together. There is a lot of power in that. Huge. I remember when I first started this, I kept saying I had the longing to be with other moms that would join me in praying for my kids, and that I could pray for their kids. And, you were talking earlier about, the support group, and what happens in these groups is when you are feeling hopeless, or when one feels hopeless, the others in the group say, hey, don't forget, we all remind each other. Everybody has a bad day,
exactly.
And so you have that bad day, but now you've got sisters who understand 100% your pain. Nobody gets this pain but another hurting mom, but who understand completely the pain that you're in, and they can be the ones to hold you up. And I know for me, I need prayer. I need people to be praying for me in the midst of this. Exactly. And it's such a beautiful picture of what we can do. Yeah. What else you got on hopelessness? She's got her little notes over here.
I think the biggest thing is that for me, the more I focused on me, I took a class. I took a class at church. I got involved at church. And the more I focused on me, I realized why I was reacting the way I was. I realized why I was codependent. I did I don't know if any of you have done the personality test for the Enneagrams. Yeah. It's so fun. But I found out a lot about, I've done other personality tests, but it was interesting how real this one felt. And I was like, oh, because I'm a helper, but that helper person can very easily become codependent. Yeah. And so just understanding ourselves and how we function can help us be a different person with our children. And then the more we can show them that, hey, I'm paying attention to me and I'm taking care of me, it gives them an example of taking care of themselves. Yeah. And so it's hard, they're going to look at us as an example. What do you call it? More is caught than taught. They're going to look at us. You like that?
More is caught than taught.
I love our pastor. He has all these wonderful things. More is caught than taught, because they're going to watch us. Right? Yeah. And they're going to see how we react. Yeah. And if we react negative, that just gives them all the more power to be more negative.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, mom's doing it. I can do it.
Debbie says, congratulations. Debbie says thank you for your prayers. Her son, wait a minute. Her son went to rehab, and she's thankful, and he's an amazing Christian base. Man, that feels good, doesn't it? When they do go into rehab, a lot of moms I talk to start being relieved that their child goes to jail. Oh, yeah. At least they're off the street. At least
I think there was another mom that's mentioned that. She's like, that's probably what saved them and kept them alive.
So Alice, her son's on the streets in Detroit. She hasn't heard from him for months. Mm-hmm. So. There isn't anything you can do about that.
Yeah. I think that was one of the first things I was looking for is for rehabs. I'm like, where's the rehab? I need to find a rehab for my daughter. And she's like, she's 18. She's going to.
I think I said, does she want to go?
Yeah, exactly. And that too. Yeah. Does she want to go?
A rehab won't even take them if they don't want to go. Yeah, they don't want mom calling. Right. They don't want to. If a kid is an adult, they don't want mom calling. So,
and I think one of the greatest feelings I had was when my daughter did it on her own. She went to three different rehabs, and one, she was 16, so she was forced to go. The other two, she was sort of wanting to go, but not really. But this third one, she chose it. She picked it. She filled out all the paperwork, and she processed herself through that. And so now, even though there was a relapse going on, she's now, knows that what she needs. And so she's like excited that she could arrange her schedule to go to IOP, let's say, which is intensive outpatient therapy. Or she's living in her own city. She's got her own therapist. She's found, so she's doing this stuff on her own.
That makes her feel good about herself,
exactly,
right? She feels like a grown up. She knows that and that's very encouraging to you, right. I think, because she's showing all the signs that she wants to get better.
Right.
And I think she's doing it.
And the best feeling is that I didn't have to do it, and I didn't push her, and I know that it's real.
Which doesn't usually work anyway.
Exactly. And it's real on her part. She's not doing it just to please me or make me feel good. She's doing it for herself, which is 10 times better than trying to get her to do it. Because I still, to this day, want to call and make her arrangements and get her, make her appointments and make sure she's doing. And I'll mention it when I talk to her. So, have you gone to your therapist? But I'm not like so into it that I'm calling and making sure that everything's good. But yeah, I do. I'm a little anxious about the fact that she's going to age out of my insurance in a couple of years, but I'm just letting that one go to God as well.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
And I think that's honestly, you're surrendering every day. Sometimes you're surrendering every minute. It just depends. It really depends. Sometimes I've been going to work and I'm like, okay, every hour, God, I'm surrendering this. I'm surrendering this, because I could not focus. I couldn't focus at work. I couldn't focus whatever I was doing. And so actually it's interesting, back to, what can we do, right? I had to take the focus off of worrying about my child. And so I decided to celebrate everybody's birthday at work. So anybody that I knew that had a birthday, if I could get their birthday from them, and something simple. I went to Dollar Tree, I got a banner, and I reused the banner. So we've used a $1 banner like 20 times. Cool. And then, and just appreciate the people you're with. Because you have to work, you're 40 hours a day, you're with these, you're with these people a lot. So just little things like that you can do. One, showing God's love. And I'll tell you, though, it took a lot from me, because I still had to accept that love from God. Yeah. I had to release the shame. I had to release the guilt, in addition to letting go of my child, and work on me, so then I can turn around and love on others. I could serve. I could go to the church, and I could be confident. And that's where that confident hope comes from. And that Jesus is taking care of her. Yeah. And that he's also taking care of me. And he's also taking care of her other siblings, my other children. And so the more I don't have to worry about everybody else and I take care of me, it's amazing
Funny
to
how
sit
that
there
works.
and watch God work in your life. That's the most peaceful thing ever. It's a peace that we do not understand, because it's like I can be in the midst of things falling all around me and still feel peaceful in the biggest pit of my life. Yeah. Wow. That's just, it's really, really, really cool.
It's pretty cool when you kind of latch on. I think you're right at the beginning, especially. It's like every minute almost, mm-hmm. And then you go 5 minutes. But for me, over the years, as I've learned to surrender, and as God has been so faithful in mm-hmm. giving me peace and giving me joy in the midst of it, Carol, I think it was Carol Hall that said a little bit ago, because when I was talking about my son and saying, I don't think about it. It's not like I've accepted his alcoholism. I want him to turn around, right. But I'm not, I'm not putting any stock in. But she said, it sounds like you've turned him over to God. Yes. Sounds like you're trusting him. And I think that is it. And that was really, I still get these insights just by mm-hmm. somebody saying things like that. So thank you, Carol, because I think it is true. And it takes time at first. And, like Judy said, every minute you're taking it back, and then maybe you can go an hour. But pretty soon you just kind of are able to surrender them and be okay. And
I think there was a point in time in my life I was like, I haven't heard from my daughter in 3 days, and I didn't think about it. It was the weirdest feeling. I'm like, is this what normal is?
Yeah, it is.
It's okay to not hear from your child.
Your adult child.
It's weird though.
My son is 45 years old. I'll text him. He always answers me. I'll say, hey, I'm missing you, love you. But I don't see him very often. He always responds, but it's, he's got his own thing going on. Right. So, yeah, and you're right. It's all about God. It's all about trusting him and letting him,
and I think that's what
in charge.
The hope that I wanted. So we understand that hope is a gift, but hope is also a choice to be made. So we get to choose to accept that hope. And then now there's more to what is going on than what is in front of us. And so we know that God's at work. He's got some little plan going on for our children. And that's an amazing hope to just let him do. But a verse that I liked that I heard recently was Hebrews 6:19, 18 and 19. But basically 19 says, this certain hope of being saved is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls. And that anchor is what we hold on to, and that's what keeps us standing. Yeah. And he connects that hope connects us with God himself behind the sacred curtains of heaven. And I think that's another good verse that I've been trying to hold on to lately. And the more that we trust God that he's going to show up, the more that hope and that anchor becomes what keeps us moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, that is the whole deal. I'm seeing all the comments, and I'll read more of them in YouTube. Go back on there, and Judy will answer some of you. That's part of the beauty of this, is being able to just come on here and share with each other. And Sybil says, would you consider praying for my friend? Yes, we do. And you know what? I honestly pray for hurting moms every day. I mean, I may not know all your names, but I constantly praying for hurting moms. I wake up praying for you. I go to bed praying for you. God knows who you are. And that's another thing. Before we go off of here, I have to say it again. The beautiful thing about being in a group is you have other women who understand your pain, that are praying for you and praying for your child every day. And you have the privilege of praying for them and praying for their children. And the things that we've been talking about tonight, like surrendering and letting go and choosing to have hope, all those things we learn how to do in a group. The hurting moms, they last 10 weeks. If there's not a group in your area, there's online groups, which are pretty amazing, because you can see and hear everybody, and you'll meet moms from all over the US and Canada. So there's that. So please, if you have been sitting on the fence with that, I know I talk to moms who say, I've been watching you for a year and a half, and I never said anything before, and I'm finally going to get into a group. Please, 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 just do it. Do it. Get into a group. There's a link above that you can click on. If there's not one in your area, do an online group. Step out of your comfort zone. It's really easy. And we don't grow if we're not stretched. I mean, as long as you stay comfortable, you're not going to grow. So, I mean, what else? What could be more uncomfortable than joining an online group?
Exactly. I haven't even done it yet. That's how uncomfortable it is. But if you are in the Lakewood, Long Beach area, I definitely have a group, so you could let me know.
And you'll see the other groups on it. So that's the one thing. But the other thing is, please, 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 if you aren't receiving the daily encouraging words yet, please go to our website. Go to the first page. Just go to hurtingmomsmendinghearts.org. And then scroll down on the first page. It doesn't pop right up at the beginning. When you scroll down, you'll see it. Your name, your first name, last name, and email, and you'll start getting those every day. And people always tell me how much they mean to them. And honestly, I wrote them, but I get them, and there's many days that they minister to me as well. So again, I always know that it's God in the midst of it, not. I don't even know how to do this. Right. He's the one. Yeah. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. And somebody up here was saying,
I wanted to
be mad at God.
Yeah, I've definitely been mad at God, and I think 17 years is a really long time, and that's got to be extremely hard. And I'm sorry for what you have been going through.
Yeah.
I do think that sometimes when we're mad at God, we're mad at him because he's not doing what we want him to do. And so, and it's just such an ugly world. It's just an ugly world. And there's hatred and there's horrible things, and it's not heaven. So it's not perfect, unfortunately. And I know that it's got to be hard to hand that over for that long. And I think you've even had long times as well. And I think the important thing is to know that God is working. He's doing something. He's doing something in you. Yeah. He's doing something in your other children. He's doing something around you in your community. He's allowing you to have that pain to then help others, like that verse with comforting. Let him comfort you. Let him comfort you. And even though you're mad at him, he could also comfort you.
And he understands that. Mm-hmm. He understands that. I mean, think about how he feels. We don't.
Oh yeah, it's his child. I know. He's there. My daughter always tells me I love you, and I said God loves you best because I really will screw you up.
Yeah.
But it's true because God loves them so much.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we got over our time, but you know what? God bless you all, and we're praying for you. And keep your comments coming. Talk to each other on here. And if you haven't been in a group, do it. Just do it. Just step up and do it. You will not. I've never talked to anybody that regretted it. I've never talked to anybody that said, I hated it. So, all right. Love you all. God bless you. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. Bye.